When he says that you can do things, when he says that you will go places, when he says that your time is now, I believe that no one on this face of the earth can even utter that. A very good morning to you if you're joining us this particular time. It's a joy and a blessing to have you. Kinyanjui Maria is my name across all the social media handles. 22047 is my SMS line. Get to WhatsApp me on 0793 267 279. And this is a segment where you all get to enjoy stories. Because you love the tea, I'm here to give you the tea with some sugar and the Holy Spirit in it. Karibu sana, my guest for today.
Asante.
Muthoni, drum rolls. Reveal, face reveal. Tumefanya face reveal. Good to have you.
Thank you very much.
Karibu.
It's an honor to be here.
Yeah.
Asante sana.
You sound like one of my bosses.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Maybe I'm receiving that.
Do you have any relation with anyone at Cape Media?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I can be comfortable.
So you can be comfortable. Yes.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
Anyone meeting you for the very first time? Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
All right. My names are Mary Jacqueline Muthoni Wachira. I place emphasis on being called Muthoni Wachira because I feel I love to own my dad's name, Wachira. I don't like it getting lost. The world calls me game changer. I'm a little girl born and bred in a family of 3. I have 2 amazing siblings. My sister called Elizabeth and my brother called Charles, who's with me here today. Born into a family of Christian parents. That is John and the late Eunice Waruguru. Above all, I'm a girl who has grown from grass to grace. I tell people that I do not have a godfather in this industry. I just know God. And God uses people to be a blessing in my life. So also by me being here and also DJ Hobbs requesting me to be here, it is God who has brought me here.
Yeah.
I am a brand and communication specialist for the last 14 years. And I've worked across the sphere. I've worked with the most influential people in this country and even to the least person at the bottom of the chain.
Yeah.
And last but not least, I love God. It's a very personal relationship with God. I listened to the Pasi who was speaking this morning here, and I was just saying in the makeup room that perhaps this person has taken my notes because they were directly speaking about my journey in life, in my career. I have known defeat, I've known being disappointed by people, but also through that I have known faith in God and knowing that God actually really loves Muthoni. In her full spectrum, in all her scars, that is Muthoni in a nutshell.
All right.
Yeah.
I think my producer, we need to be lengthening our testimony time because now I'm thinking, what are we going to talk about in 20 minutes time?
We can
Are we going
talk
to exhaust this?
Yes, we can.
But why do you call yourself a game changer? What is it that you've changed? What is this game that we are playing? What is this game that you're changing?
At such a tender age, I have held very senior positions that people do not really understand how I landed there. And I do not leave things the same way I found them. I do not leave people the same way I found them. I believe everything my hand touches must prosper, and every place that my feet steps in is blessed and favored.
Yeah.
Why I call myself game changer is because I am in the marketplace not to work, but on assignment. And these assignments are given by God. You know, you could be the most educated person in this world, but you lack the knowledge and the wisdom of God. So for me, every opportunity that God has given me to work has been an opportunity to tell of his goodness and of his mercies upon my life, and also to bring people closer to him. The reason as to why people were called the fishermen, they left everybody else and went to serve God, because that was within their calling. So the name Game Changer is derived from the book and the calling of Jeremiah. When God called Jeremiah, Jeremiah did not know how to speak. And he told God, I'm just an ordinary person. But God reminded Jeremiah that I'm going to be with you. I'm going to set you in every place and spaces. So when you look around and think about even the campaign like the SS3 for Super Senator Sakaja, I was behind that. I'm sure you have drunk a Coke soda that had your name that is something that we worked on very closely with a team at Insider Magazine, because I did work from Insider Magazine. But long before Insider, I have worked at a place in River Road called Njokari Enterprises. So that's where my journey began. And from there, I have moved on to do various things across the sphere. So having had the opportunity to work at Insider Magazine really exposed me to a lot of things. And I thank God because my parents, since a tender age, actually identified a talent in me. My mom and my dad, in our household, we do a lot of music. And having said that, I've been raised in a Christian home. So they invested in a microphone. So we would stand in front there and sing songs, me and my sister. I think my brother came a little bit late when this season was over. And these are things that prepared me for my now, because my mom is the one who wrote for me my first poem when I was in class 1. And the poem was Mama, Mama Yangu. As I grew, I met a teacher or teachers who nurtured a talent in public speaking. I met Anastasia Wanjiru and Felix Karaoke, who are very keen, besides me being a top student, was they nurtured a talent in public speaking. And I was in drama club, journalism. So all along I have been working within the path that God called me for. In high school, the same thing. You would not find me in something that I really didn't enjoy. Proceeding on to finishing my high school, I did a diploma in journalism and mass communication. Later on in life, God has been kind enough. I have pursued a degree in communications. Later on in life, God was kind enough, most recently, to help me complete a master's in corporate governance. And I've just taken a small break in doing a PhD in research law. And the reason why I'm saying all this is because it has taken God. I often tell people that at one point in Form 2, and I often remember this, is there's somebody very close to me who told my parents and even I that I would not amount to anything. And that is the reason as to why I have worked diligently and hard to be where I am. Because, you know, Kinyanju, when somebody breaks your dreams at the age of 16, they break the child inside you. They break a goal and a dream. And that's why I do not apologize for pursuing greatness, irrespective of the circumstances. But above all, it is in the knowledge of knowing that God has been with me throughout. In the same capacity, when I look at some of the jobs that God has given me, there have been jobs that required me to do change in organizations and in people's spaces. And sometimes they have been very difficult because you face opposition, because people don't understand what is this girl doing or saying. I was joking yesterday with a very close friend of mine and told them, I just remembered that I was recently working in an organization where somebody branded me City Girl, simply because nilikuwa kwa shamba. Na I was living my life, but to them, they felt as if I was showing off because of the dressing. But I keep asking people, you see the way you're dressed? You don't know whether you're going to meet Uhuru or Ruto the next minute. You need to be found working. Pasi just said this morning, in order for you to be elevated, God has to find you working. So in order for you to look great, you have to be able to have been prepared. You have to look the part for you to get the part, you know? People don't understand that. And that's why Jeremiah was asking God, Mimi ni nani? I don't know how to speak. But God told him that I knew you even before you were formed in your mother's womb. That's where a game changer comes in, knowing that God knew me in the 90s. He knew when my mom and my dad were meeting that 33 years later, I'll be seated here with Maria, telling the world, encouraging young people about my journey.
Beautiful. You're reminding me when Moses was having a conversation with God in Exodus 33, he said, now that you want me to lead these people, who will I say?
Yes.
How will I go without your presence? Because at some point, God called them stiff-necked people. I will not go with them. But I'm happy that you recognize God in the spaces that you have been and you are. Losing a parent, How does that look like, especially a mom?
A mom.
And sometimes we women also derive strength from, I'm not saying our dads, we don't draw strength from them, but you're almost like a replica of our mothers.
All right.
How is it losing your mother, and how did that even change your perception of life?
Thank you for
If
that
it
question.
did.
Yeah, it actually shook me. Anybody who knows Muthoni in the last 4 years and the Muthoni that was there are two different people. Losing my mom in 2020 in the midst of COVID was a very personal thing for me, as much as I did not show my tears. Possibly there's only one person who saw my tears, and this has been one of my best friends. Her name is Sandra Chola. And I remember when I was told that my mom has died, for me, I knew mom had not died. She had just moved to the next room. You see, when you're raised by a parent who knows God, her faith is in God, then you know that it's just a transition. And it was a very complex season for me, because Muthoni has been a very strong girl, but losing mom redefined my purpose. I remember looking at that casket going down, and I told myself, the one person who knew me from the inside and saw me coming out has just been lowered. So unfortunately, Maria, it's a positive thing and also a negative thing, because you cannot scare me or threaten me by telling me that you're gonna leave me. I'm not afraid of losing people.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Because I lost one of the most important people in my life.
Yeah.
So why would a human being believe that if they left my life, I would not continue? So mom was a pillar, not only for me, but in our home. But the beauty of it all is that she taught us about God, and she left us in the hands of God. My mom said goodbye. It's just that we were not keen enough to know that it was goodbye.
Yes. And also in denial.
Yes, in denial. Because when a person constantly tells you that they're going home, and you tell them that their home is in Thome, is in Maroroi, you know, we are in different conversations.
True.
You're telling her you're going to leave Kenyatta National Hospital and you're going to go home. And how she's telling you how she wants to go home. And when you're at home also, she's telling you she needs to go home. You see, that's a spiritual conversation that you don't really understand. But also, the loss of my mom in the last 4 years has made me actually learn that life is spiritual. The people who have come into my life to be a blessing, also others have come to be a lesson, and others have come to be a reminder that I am here on an assignment. Being her daughter has also meant that there are certain things that I can't do. I can't just live a reckless life. She has done so much. There are shoes that we need to fit in. But she also left us in very able hands of a very bold man.
Yeah.
I think I take more of my dad than my mom.
Yeah.
My dad is a very courageous man, a very bold man. And despite losing somebody very important to him, he has pressed on. He has kept going. He has remained very strong. And I think I really admire that about him. I grew up being my dad's handbag before my brother came. The age gap between me and my brother is 9 years. So practically, I have been a typical tomboy.
Yeah.
I loved the things that my dad loved. I emulated some of his characteristics a lot. Sometimes when I meet people who know him, like I went for a conference and somebody just saw me and told me, you must be Kagwaine's daughter. And at first I was a bit confused. But then they told me, yeah, we know your dad. He was working with us. And I was like, yeah, that's my dad. That's my dad. And so I take pride in being a Wachira. That's why I said, even if we get married, the name Wachira remains. That identity has to...
Disclaimer, husband, wherever you are.
Wachira is
It has to be there. I love to make a hyphen.
Hyphen.
Yes.
Ama tutasema basi Wachira na jina yake.
Yes.
So we lose Muthoni
Very nice.
and we keep it, yeah?
Kama ingekuwa Hobbs tuseme, for example, nasema Muthoni Wachira Hobbs. Hyphen Hobbs.
Lakini unajua wanaume wanapenda jina yao ikiwa at the apple. So itakuwa Wachira Hobbs.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so it's for you to figure out whether it is Mrs. or Miss or what it is, but it is Wachira. Because I think it's very important to carry on legacies, yeah? I saw my mom being called my grandfather's name, but also owned my dad's name. Yeah. And the beauty of that is that there's continuity.
True.
I know my brother would possibly carry on my dad's legacy with the name.
Yeah.
But I also think being a daddy's girl, I've grown up being a dad's girl. I think I feel nice knowing that there's one man in this world who will never disappoint me.
True.
Besides God.
Yeah. There's that man.
There's that man.
Beautiful.
Yes.
I love how much you talk about your family. Has it been a smooth sail? Have you been on those soft landings? You know, there are people who favor just locates them. Where else favor locates you, like Joseph was, he just never went into the palace directly. He had to go through the pit, had to go through the prison, had to go through all this. Have you ever, in the spaces that you are in, go through the pits, go through the prisons? And how are they looking like?
Yes, I have been. I have been to the pit, but I define my pit as the bottom of the mountain and at the top of the mountain. And I use a very simple concept called the brilliance and the beauty of the mountain. It's a very contradicting thing because if you have been at the bottom of the mountain, if you've done Mount Kenya or any mountain, you know that the temperatures at the bottom.
Don't tell Maria about that.
Yes. But the temperatures at the bottom and at the middle and at the top are very different. So for mine has really not been a pit. It has been at the bottom, whereby I will have a very high flying position.
Okay.
And when I'm just getting comfortable, God takes me back to the beginning.
Oh.
Yes. Just when I am getting comfortable and I'm starting to put my feet in comfort zone, God is like, ma'am, there's an assignment that just fits you. So your season in this organization is over. And it's very painful, Maria, because you have set up systems, you have set up structures, you have set up friendships or relationships. And then God tells you, you know, I need you to go back to the drawing board. I need to isolate you for a season because I need to prepare you for the next one. However, as much as God sometimes has often taken me back, when he bounces me back, it is bigger than the position that I was holding. And those moments have made me sometimes question myself. And I've asked God, what really do you want with me? What really is the plan that you have over my life? But also at the same time, I would not call it favor. I would call it strategic positioning, because it's in these organizations that God has placed for me people who I call sponsors. You know, there's a difference between having a mentor and having a sponsor. And a sponsor is something that a lot of people have not been able to experience in the world that we are in today. But a sponsor is somebody who walks into rooms and mentions your name in spaces of opportunities. And these particular people, God has made me meet them along my line of work. Some I could have met them as yesterday, others I meet today. Maybe I've just met you, Maria, and through this show, there's somebody who's looking for Muthoni. That's what I call sponsors. So for me, I believe that God has used people strategically in my life. And I keep giving an example of the man who first really believed in my talent, called David Ngaruya, at Insider magazine. Back in the day, Insider was such a big deal. And that is something that was a great opportunity and a platform for me. But within Insider, there was an umbrella of other organizations that were handling brands. And that is where I fell in love with brands. That's where Muthoni really loved public relations. It's when she discovered about what it is communication is all about. So Ngaruya begins the chain of the blessing, hands me over to Professor Peter Kagwanja, who positions me to work for the presidency of 2014 to 2017. It's while working for this that you meet amazing people like the likes of Sakaja and the rest. Then you're catapulted to greatness. The next thing, you're working at Oppo. You begin at the bottom of the chain as a PR specialist. And by the time I was leaving, I was head of corporate communications for East Africa. I was exposed to a world that I had no idea of. I had never sold a mobile phone before. And at Oppo, God positioned a man who, we were from different cultures. His name is Rehua. And this man allowed me to be. You know, it was a world of Chinese and mine. We are seeing things very differently. But this man allowed me to be. I would go with ideologies and he would say, you want to do that? We do it. But he'd also be very cautious about what you're doing. This person was also very present when I lost my mom. It's a transition. And I left Oppo in March of 2022. And in the next season, in between here, I was doing campaigns for Azimio, for the Lord to prepare me for my most recent job. And the people who pushed my name in rooms of opportunities for this job are people who I was working with or I have been working with in an agency for years. They pushed me to greatness. But the thing that has been my greatest testimony, and I think this is where Hobbs and DJ Krober picked this, in 2024, as the year was beginning, I received a call from an Australian brand, and they wanted me to work with them. And I was a bit hesitant to engage with these people. But then I remember God brought me the word of completion. So 2024, God ended a lot of things in my life, ended lots of friendships, lots of relationships, even opportunities. I left my previous employment in 2024 and it opened doors. The beauty of that is I had just turned 33. Do you know what 33 means in the Bible? It is when Jesus was completing his work. So 33 either means death or rebirth. For me, it has meant rebirth. It has meant, you see the way a snake gets rid of the old and focuses on the new. That's what happened to Muthoni. At 33, as I transitioned to 33, God ended a lot of things, very painful things, things that I never imagined that would come to an end. But also God removed me from a table where I was being fed poison. Have you been in a table with people who you're laughing with them, but behind your back, they're doing things that are to malign you? That is what God did. And he saw and he knew. He saw me working diligently. He knew what it is that I was doing. But God decided, I need you out of this place. And the methodology in which I'm going to use to remove you is not going to be your favorite. So for about 2, 3, 4 months, I faced a lot of resistance from people who I did not expect. It was the least of my expectations. But in this transition, I remember on the 29th of November, the Lord spoke to me and told me, peace, be still, for I am doing a new thing. And I knew that that season needed to end. You know, when you're a person of value and a person of integrity, you cannot stay in spaces where people do not align with the purpose of God. I could be speaking with you, Maria, but you're not speaking the truth. I might really not tell, but God does. And what I've come to realize in my 14 years, and even in my most recent experience, was that when God allows something to happen in your life, it's because he knows you can handle it. There are people who, if they were handled some of the mantles that I've had to go through at such a tender age, they would give up. They would have walked away. They would have committed suicide. but mine has been a reminder that God is actually very in love with me. And even the place where God has taken me, it is an opportunity of greatness. It's not every day you will engage with the deputy president of this country. It is not every day that you would be sitting and doing strategies and consulting for technocrats like Ambassador Amina Mohammed, you know, or the past county assembly speaker, Mr. Ndwati Kariuki. So the last 2 months, I have been in spaces that if you asked me about in January of 2024,
couldn't say it.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to 2025. And I'm sure that this is just the beginning. This show is the beginning of a testimony of even of bigger platforms that I'm about to walk into in 2025. Because I believe 33, for me, as I move forward between now and 40, it's a season of not only growth, but rebirth. It is also rebranding. There are things that I need to let go of, things that I used to do, and now focus on the future. And I will tell you the most interesting thing that I sat down and thought about as I was exiting my previous space is one of the people who was my greatest opponents or was really fighting me. On a phone call we had with her, she told me that I need to be very careful of older women because they're the ones who would probably have a problem with you. She was indirectly communicating that she's the one.
Yeah.
Because, Maria, have you ever been in a place where you listen to stories about yourself and you're like, do I have a twin around this place or is it me?
Give me another version.
Yeah, give me another version.
Yeah.
And for a moment, I battled with that. I battled with having a grown adult walking into rooms in my absence and giving false narratives, you know? And the unfortunate thing is sometimes God is going to blind those people so that they can believe that, because God wants to remove me. He wants to remove me from a table that I'm being fed poison without my realization. And to the people who have been close to me in this season, the last 2 months, for them, they will tell you they know a very bold girl. And when I met DJ Kroba, we sat and I was telling him what God has done. And he's looking at me and wondering, what story is this that you're telling me?
Yeah.
Because there are people who would fight to have some of the spaces and the opportunities that I have held.
Yeah.
And here I am, I'm telling them that God has removed me and I don't know where he's taking me, but I know he's taking me to greatness, greater heights.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
When you were speaking, I picked something. Sometimes we hold on to something that we know so much, where else God is preparing us for something that is greater and bigger. You know, when Ruth is holding on to the mother or saying that I will go with you, and Naomi is telling her,
no,
unaenda wapi? Mimi hata sina watoto wa kukumari.
Yeah.
You know, it's a space where now God is aligning you, but you can't say it. And what I've gathered from that is sometimes we need to listen to God.
Don't be
When you're saying that be still and know that I'm God, it's such a coincidence because that's the verse I'm talking about today. In the book of Isaiah 43, where the Lord says, forget the former things. I'm doing a new thing. And we may not necessarily know what the new thing is. You know, we are faith over fear, where you go to the next step and you're wondering, so how is it going to look like?
Yeah.
And I'm happy that you came out so boldly. And where else all this is happening, what is happening to your spiritual space?
It's growing, but at some point in December, I called my Pasi, called Reverend Ramugonda, and I told him, this is the season that I am in.
Yeah.
And he actually prayed, and that calmed my spirit. You know, the question you've asked is very interesting because every time God has taken me back to the drawing board, he has surrounded me with people who pray on my behalf. So I've had an amazing friendship of a person who I met in July called Kolo. He's been a source of strength and prayer. I also have another lady, we call her Mtumishi. She's very prayerful. And these are the people who have held me together within my spiritual journey. And it is so easy for you to throw in the bucket and, forget about where God has brought you from. I told a friend of mine who was in a similar situation, but hers has been a little bit on and off. I told Margaret Wareko that you need to know who God is. You need to understand who really God is. Because if you do not understand who God is, everybody is going to come and give you a definition of God.
Oh, yeah?
They're going to tell you that you need to believe the God of Joseph. Then the other one tells you about the God of Daniel. But in all of this, God remains consistent. He doesn't change. He's not human beings that today he'll promise you a job and tomorrow you're calling and he's not picking your phone.
Yes.
So my God has been consistent, and my spiritual journey continues to grow in the understanding and knowing that God is actually very in love with the girl that was born in the 90s.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. What are we expecting from Muthoni? Where else we may look at it, or you may have the realization that I'm here to change the game. And where else there are people who are there to make you stop changing the game, and of course making you go back to the drawing board. What is in it for us who are receivers of what you get to give, or even the spaces that you are, in terms of how diligently you work, how you execute the things you execute? And as a Mia Maria, if I am to meet you, a game changer, what is expectation? What do I receive from you?
All right.
Yeah.
The first thing that defines Muthoni and will always define me, irrespective of the spaces that I hold, is authenticity. Lots of people go through something called, how do I call it? Impersonation. You feel like you need to emulate somebody in order for you to be in a certain space. Muthoni will always be Muthoni. She'll keep reinventing herself. The wheel must continue to be reinvented. Even if I leave this space, Maria, the next person who comes here and meets you needs to meet a better version of you. So people will always meet Muthoni that they did not know in 2014. If you knew me 10 years ago and you know me now, then sis, you're dealing with the old. There's the new.
Yeah.
2032, you might meet me and remind me of this interview, and I'll actually acknowledge and appreciate this. But in 2032, we shall be discussing, or you shall be interviewing me as the governor of Nyeri County. After 2032, in 5 years' time or 10 years' time, I believe I shall be the first female president of this country.
Beautiful.
So authenticity is something that Muthoni will always be. I'll also continue to be very unapologetic, whether you accept me or not. Whether people clap for me or not, my unapologetics continue. In the knowledge of this, that I'm not living my truth. That's also the other difference. I surround myself with people who have been where I want to go to. People who fit my future, not my now. So you expect to find me hanging around people who are accountable, people who can call me out very diligently. Last but not least, find me in spaces of inspiration. Find me in places where we shall be uplifting each other, whether it is the male gender or the female gender. Find me in those places. And above all, find me in spaces where we dream like tomorrow is never promised.
All right.
Thank you.
Beautiful. When you started off, I wanted to ask you if you'd want to be a politician, but now it has come out so clearly. We'll get there. By the time you get in 2032,
I once told my dad, I will introduce him to the world on a podium, and I will be a very great person. You see the way Kamala Harris represented her speech?
Yes.
For me, this person has to be my dad. And the reason is very simple. I believe we've all been raised in fantastic backgrounds, but I have owned a butter shoe since I was in primary school until I was in high school. I have gone to the best schools that money could get me. I have enjoyed luxury at the expense of him. I think I'm very particular about shoes because of him. I watched him buy us the butter shoes, enjoy Saturdays at Wimpy and Steers. Even the fine things of life that I like have been greatly inspired by him, because I don't foresee myself not driving a GLE, a red GLE Mercedes with my name, because I have to live a better life than what he gave. Yeah. So if he got to a certain level, then I can only be greater than that position. So there must be an airstrip at my grandmother's homestead, and the world must actually know this name that I'm telling you. It can't just come and exit, you know.
Just like that.
I don't believe I was born to live, to go to school, to raise children, and just die. For me, there's a purpose.
True.
And there are people who, if you ask them about their exposure, they have been born in Nairobi, bred in Nairobi, went to school in Nairobi, worked in Nairobi, married in Nairobi, chances they will die in Nairobi. They've never gone to Kisumu, Mombasa, even Uganda, or the experience. Because you know what experience does to you, Maria, and the exposure, it changes how you engage with people. It changes your mindset. It opens you up to think differently. So I also encourage people, don't sit in an organization and work there for 39 years, 20 years, and then you've given this organization all your life. All your life. Why risk it?
Get out there.
Come and try being a news anchor, fail, and do something else. Yeah.
I love that, Muthoni.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Yani, I need to have you, I don't know how long.
We can co-host.
Hey, we can. This one, it can go for long and long. And talking about being in the best schools, there's a teacher called Teacher Ngugi, Ustath. Do you remember him?
Called who?
Teacher Ngugi.
Ngugi.
Yeah, Ustath. He says, I'm so happy she passed through my hands in Ruraka Academy.
Oh, yes.
Those many days.
That man was tough on me. Oh, my God.
And he says her testimony is real, and umesalimiwa sana na mwalimu.
Asante.
Very nice.
Asante.
Thank you for just being here and just inspiring the young girls out here to just not only look at where they have from, who they lost, who is in between their journey, but just get out there and be a go-getter.
Yeah.
And be a game changer as you are. What are your social media handles?
The Game Changer 8.
The Game Changer 8.
_
All right.
Yes, or you can put in brackets Muthoni Wachira.
Okay.
Yes.
Hatujafika mahali pa kuweka hobs hapo. Tujafika. Na hakuna mwingine hapo.
Ambia hobs ajitetee tofauti. Kama ako na opportunity ajitetee, but niko na cousins. Niko na cousins, niko na marafiki. And you know, as I live,
love that. Yeah.
Let me tell you about the beauty of seasons and chapters.
Yes.
In May of 2024, the Lord brought a stranger in my life that, as I look back, this particular person has been a great blessing in my life. This is somebody who really has been a blessing to me. And I know, besides just sending the shout outs to my family, to my dad, to my grandma, to my sister and my niece and my nephew, of course I'm with my brother here, I would really like to thank the friends who have held me together over the years. We would start with a list of people like Sandra, Margaret Wareko, an amazing friend called Muthoni Wachira, and another one called Franklin Mirania. I have a friend called Ngele Ali, who has been very consistent. And also Robert Burale, who we might not talk often, but Burale, when he picks up the phone, really does give me real-time conversations.
All right.
Yes.
Beautiful. Shout out to all the friends who've been in Muthoni's life. Will you continue being there? Hata mimi sasa nishakuwa rafiki.
By force.
By fire. All right, that has been my testimony, a testimony from grass to grace and from grace to glory. Sometimes all we ought to do is just hold on to it, because the Lord is doing an amazing thing and will propel you to greater heights, things that you never knew you would do, things that you never thought of. He said, exceedingly, abundantly, above all that I can even think and imagine. God bless you. God do you good. And if you're there, keep on keeping on, because your time is coming. Right about now, we're taking a short commercial break, but when we come back, we're coming back at Nairobi Grace Maroi Chapel. We're going to have our 2-hour service, and at 11 o'clock, I'm here with Edith Wairimu, Hype Sawesh, and the Static 47 for a beautiful time at Sifa Sunday Plus. Usiende mbali.